everyone. Welcome back to our special monthly podcast called The Debate Harmonizing Contradictions. So, as you are already aware, month after month, we have been bringing to you thought provoking topics with very insightful discussion. This month, in this special episode, we are bringing to you a topic that is very relevant for every single home, every single parent, and every single child, and that is education. So, is our modern education, the so called modern education, really succeeding in making our children successful, not just at exams, but actually at life? Are they preparing our children to face the ups and downs of life, to handle relationships, to earn their livelihood based on their nature? Not just make a livelihood, but actually have a great life, have a sense of purpose and drive and contentment. So, are there any shortcomings related to the modern education system? If so, what are they? And is there a better alternative to the modern education system? So, this is the topic that we are going to discuss today: modern education versus Gurukul education. So, in order to discuss, explore this crucial topic, we have with us a senior sannyasi monk who is a global traveler, a prolific preacher, who is part of ISKCON leadership, serving as the president of ISKCON Mira Road, Mumbai, and also ISKCON Vapi, Gujarat. And he is the GBC supervisor for the Uttar Pradesh East region. And he is also involved in several important temple construction and educational projects. So I can go on and on about His Holiness Bhakti Padma Saurabh Pracharak Swami Maharaj. This topic, the educational topic and preparing the youth for future, this is something that is very dear to him. So Maharaj, we are really honored to have you take out your busy time and be with us today. Thank you, Maharaj, for joining us on this podcast. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
And to discuss this special topic, we also have a special guest with us, His Grace Rama Aprameya Prabhu. So he is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj. He has been doing a lot of research on this topic of Gurukul education. He was formerly a software engineer, but he's been serving full time with a missionary spirit since the year 2017. And he is a parent himself. So we are going to learn a lot from him in relation to how he has been taking this journey of education for his own children. And he is also an astrologer and yagnik. So he's also a part of the Indian ISKCON Scholarship Board. So thank you very much, Prabhu, for accepting our invitation and being with us today.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And as always, joining me on the panel is His Grace Madan Govind Prabhu, who is a disciple of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He is serving as the project director of ISKCON Khove, Center of Vedic Education and Yoga from ISKCON Udaipur, Rajasthan. So thank you so much, Madan Govind Prabhu, amidst your busy schedule being part of us here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our discussion. So Maharaj, my first question I wanted to ask you was, I'd like to begin by quoting a statement that is usually attributed to Thomas Babington Macaulay, dated February 2nd, 1835. And I'll just quote that statement and then ask the question. So he says, I have traveled across the length and breadth of India, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system and her culture. For if the Indians think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. So, Maharaj, what was so great and powerful about what Macaulay is calling the old and ancient education system, but which we understand is our Sanatana Bharatiya Shiksha, otherwise called the Gurukul system, that he thought that replacing education itself was their core strategy for conquering India?
When Macaulay wrote this letter, they had actually conquered India in one sense. But they were not able to exploit the people of India. though they were ruling many parts of India to a large extent, but they were not ruling with the purpose which they intended to rule.
Okay.
The purpose of the British rule on India is to exploit this country, exploit the resources of this country, loot this country. So, in spite of they being the government, practically, they were not able to exploit. The reason was we had educated people. Now, they wanted to have a whole nation who is uneducated. That is why they introduced an education system to uneducate people, so that they become only subservient. They don't become independent thinkers. They lose their brains. So the whole purpose of the British introducing the system of education which we are currently using, that is to make the children, the students, weak and dependent, so that they become susceptible for exploitation. So if you're educated, then you will be independent, you'll be strong. So that is why they introduced to make the entire country uneducated, make the entire country dependent, so that they can exploit them. Yes.
I have a question for Rama Prabhu. If you could share a little about your two children, Prabhuji, and how old are they? What kind of educational journey they have gone so far? What conscious choices you made regarding their education, and what challenges you faced while going on this path?
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely. So, I was previously a software engineer, as Mataji introduced. Mm, when I was a child, my father was a bank employee, and I would observe his schedule. When he would come back at 5:30 or something from the bank, there would be nobody to disturb him after that in the in matters related to his job. In just one generation, when I started working, I saw a big change that um, if I would come home at the earliest possible time would be 8:30, and then it would be 10, 12. I even came at 4 a.m. in the morning. So in just one generation, there is so much of a change. What will happen if things go forward? I was worried about my own children, how their future will be. So considering that, myself and my wife discussed, and we thought that this should not be the education. So we decided to homeschool our children. And then when I quit my job, I moved to Gujarat, where there is already a Gurukula project going on. And my children were well educated there in basics of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So they got some good spiritual nourishment there. Apart from that, currently I am teaching them at home Samskrita, Tarka, and Vyakarna. These are the subjects which we are teaching, along with the basics of mathematics, whatever is necessary, and some languages, the mother tongue and English. However, one thing I observed is that the children are more happy and they are getting opportunity to think and apply what they are learning in their life. So definitely, I could see some. I could see that they are more enjoying the education system itself.
And what about the association of the peer group, Prabhuji, while you are going through this path of education?
See, it has been observed in our childhood that children search for their companions. Primarily, children need to play and they search for their companions. We can't push companions on them. So, yeah, it has been the tendency of parents that you associate with such and such a boy and not associate. But generally, they learn by their experiences, good or bad. So, anyway, children play outside, and when our children go and associate with their friends and play for some time, they get that peer-to-peer relationship anyway. And they spend a good amount of time with their parents at home. Guests are invited, and they develop relationship with the guests. and our Sunday programs are there where they have a relationship in the temple. So it is not that there is a big void as it is otherwise thought, that if you are not schooled, then there is a big void. So that I did not experience with my children.
Right. Thank you.
Maharaj, asking a fundamental question, what is the real purpose of education, Maharaj? And is the current education system actually living up to that purpose?
So the word educate comes from the word Greek word, I suppose. I don't know exactly. I have to do some research.
Mhm.
Educare means to develop the character within your heart. So that is called education. Now you have people getting big degrees, MBA, IIT, engineering, BTech, MTech, and all, but there is a sincere lack of character, discipline, the way you behave with elders, the way you deal with your friends, the way you deal with the juniors, uh, relationships. There's a big problem.
Mhm.
They are not trained in that because they are not taught the value of relationship, the value of qualities, the character, the sadhana. Especially, the biggest problem is the co-education system.
Mhm.
That is, the boys and the girls studying together. They don't study. Once you have promiscuity, that means mixing of the boys and the girls, then even the, the parents would have trained them in very good character. The entire character is lost because the Dharma Shastras, the Shastras clearly say that when there is a free mixing, then there is a lot of mm, shaucha, means cleanliness is lost.
Mhm.
Cleanliness is external, internal cleanliness, both are lost. So become impure. So with the impure heart, in spite of all the big graduations, there will be always suffering. In spite of all the other uh, so-called aggrandization of their degrees and colleges and their pass outs, they get into a lot of bad habits
Mhm.
and they suffer like anything. So there is a basic difference between the modern education system and the Vedic education system. The Vedic education system trains uh, basically about self-control, sense control. And if you're self-controlled, then you can face any situation in life. And if you're not sense-controlled, then you'll be suffering throughout your life. So that's the basic thing. So basic of Gurukul is self-control, a proper sadhana, a proper schedule, and keeping yourself practicing brahmacharya.
Mhm.
See, practicing brahmacharya doesn't mean that you give up the house and then join some temple. No, it's not like that. Practicing brahmacharya means studying. You can study only when you are away from the opposite sex. As simple as that. Otherwise, you cannot.
So, Maharaj, you highlighted the character development, but what is the role of education in competence and skill development so they can earn a livelihood?
It has been seen that earning livelihood is by default when you are strong, when you're competent. The modern education system gives degrees, not competency.
Mhm.
But the Vedic education system is based at training a person or a student in making them competent. So people ask about when you have a Gurukul, what about they getting job?
Yeah.
We are not against job or anything. We are training our children to be competent to do anything in life according to their choice,
Mhm.
according to their aptitude. So Gurukul system of education doesn't neglect the the means of livelihood. Rather, the whole purpose of Gurukul education system, though it is character development, but it also trains, makes a person competent to have a means of livelihood according to his choice. Now, for example, there is a young boy who is now uh, taken his 12th standard, 11th and 12th standard is intermediate, and he has taken mathematics because of the peer pressure, because of the parents' pressure that you had to become an engineer and you had to get an IIT. He took it up. But now his interest is in biology. His nature is to be with maybe agriculture, maybe with dealing with the patients. Now he's gone. His whole life is ruined now. He cannot get back to that. So there's a lot of influence of peer pressure to select a particular branch, which may not be according to one's nature. But in the Gurukul system education, we identify the interest of the child and train them in that particular interest and make him competent so that he can have a means of livelihood. There are many people, even now, there who are engineers, but they are now managers. And there are some who have done management, but they have taken a business. And some people who have completed, they being doctors, but they are taken up art and dance. So if the tendency of the child or the student is identified in the beginning itself and then told, okay, you pursue this particular field because it is your nature and is your interest, then he'll be more happy and he'll excel in a particular field of activity. So that's what is the Gurukul education meant for. It is a choice. The choice is there to choose. And then we tell the students that every field, whatever you go, is well respected. Not something is higher and something is lower. What satisfies you is more important than what is higher and lower. We train students so that they can become independent. Like I know many engineers who pass out from mechanical engineering, but they don't know what is a spanner and a hammer and have no idea about it. You pass out from MBA, but you cannot, they cannot, MBA marketing, but they cannot do any marketing. You have one person in the train selling some toys, so he does better marketing than those MBAs. They're only good in presentations, TPT. So, like that.
So I'm coming back to Prabhuji, just to get a realistic, practical aspect of this character. So this is one of the concerns parents have these days in terms of no focus on characters, no focus on values in the current education system. Even that you have taken your children through a very different model, more close to Vedic, kind of education system. Do you see these qualities, Gita says Vidya Vinay Sampanne, education means should bring humility, divine qualities. Do you see these things manifested in your children while they've gone through a different model of education?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, first thing is that if given a good environment, these good character naturally flourishes. Children are children. First thing children like is to play. Second thing is they like to tease others. Even if you see the Agasura Leela, where at the beginning all the children are going, cowherd boys are going, and each boy is teasing, making monkey-like faces to the other. So children have that playful tendency naturally. However, as Maharaj highlighted, there are some things in traditional education which are no free mixing and sense control. Then some things more like no exposure to television or smartphones. Basically, these things are regulated. So the problem with present day thing is that these things spoil the children very easily. So even those children who are having good nature, they get spoiled by these things. So if this basic foundation is there, it will go way ahead in character development. Yes, one thing is that we might sometimes have wrong expectations also. Just like the present day society, people expect that my child will be an IAS, my child will be an IPS. So similarly, we might think that my child should start behaving like a sannyasi. That may not happen. Children are children. But at least some basic things like they offer obeisances to the Lord, they offer prayers to the elders, they offer obeisances to the elders. So there is some character formation that is naturally coming up. And these things I can definitely see in my children, the natural tendency to bow to elders, respect the Supreme Lord, and respect the books. You should not touch the books with your leg. So all these basic characters definitely we are able to see, and they will go a long way in the long-term character development.
One of the associated challenges that we have seen in many children, Prabhuji, that in the beginning, when they're young, early age, they all behave very nicely and they look like pure devotees only. But when they grow up, when they go into the society, then they see, the glamour which they have been kept away from. And their reaction is very different to the extent that they completely give up devotional life. So why does this happen, and how do we avoid this while children are kept away from the society?
One thing is that I some tangential point I would like to add. I'm an astrologer also, as Mataji said. So the first thing parents ask about their children is, will my son become a serious devotee, or will my son become a full-time devotee? So one thing we should understand is that everyone is born with a particular nature, and everyone's nature is completely different. To make somebody a serious pure devotee is Sudurlabha, as it's mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One of the 6 symptoms of devotional services, it is very rare. We can't expect everyone to come to that stage. So understanding this, the Vedic system presented a very good platform where people would follow dharma. People would at least understand what are the values of human society, not do bad to others, follow your prescribed duties nicely. So Brahmana has his duty, Kshatriya has his duty. So when such a template is there, even if you are not on the highest level, at least you know that you have to follow the Shastra, you have to listen to elders, you have to follow the system. So that system plays a critical role. So that is one thing we have to introduce. A very simple thing. Today we have festivals like Krishna Janmashtami, we have festivals like Rath Yatra and all. Apart from that, what I would observe in my childhood is that there were various family traditions, family festivals that were there in which were regularly followed ritualistically. And every generation would take pride in following them. Even the new woman who would come to the house, she would also learn that and she would take pride in following that. So, this cultural backbone is something that is essential. Otherwise, the outside world is anyway glamorous and attractive. So, if once the children step out of this and enter college and associate with others, so naturally they will be glide because they need something for livelihood, and it's the outside world that is providing them livelihood. Along with the package, it's providing certain other things also. So, that is a natural source of attraction for them. So when we introduce a Gurukula, it should come with the whole package. That is when we will be able to actually make a difference.
Yeah. Thank you.
Continuing with the answer which Ramaprem Prabhu gave, basically Gurukul is not to make devotee out of a child. That is to be mind. We want to make the boys capable, confident men, humans. That is the first thing. See, devotee, making a devotee is not our job. Krishna makes him a devotee. We only can give an opportunity. That's all. It is very clearly expressed by Srila Prabhupada in one of the purports, which is the motivation for me and many others who are part of this team of Gurukul. Is Srila Prabhupada talks about Dhruv Maharaj when he says any 5-year-old boy can be trained in Krishna consciousness, and his expectation is at least they will not become hippies. So that's our expectation, minimum expectation. Of course, we want the entire world to become pure devotees. But if you go with this expectation that the entire world should become pure devotees, and all the children who are coming to us, they all should be pure devotees, and when they chant, that tears should roll down to their eyes, and they should not be interested in anything, like Parikshit Maharaj is not interested in playing anything, If you're having those expectations, then better not to start any Gurukul, because you'll be frustrated, and you'll frustrate everyone. So have minimum expectations. That is what is our philosophy. That is what we're teaching. That is, you have minimum expectations. In the same way, we also have minimum expectation and try for the best. So that's our policy. And purpose is not just to make devotees out of them. We give an opportunity for them to become devotees, either during the tenure of their Gurukul or after that, or maybe next life. We don't know. But definitely we'll introduce the practices of devotion as long as they are in the Gurukul, so that they can control their senses. And primarily, though the focus is there on the character and all, we want to make them competent. Competent so that they can crack IIT, IAS, MBA, you name it. We make them competent. But we cannot make everybody competent. They should have the brain behind it. They should have the capacity, the tendencies for it, the karma for it. The problem is the modern education system. The parents are being befooled. The children are being befooled, and the schools and the colleges and the coaching centers, they're taking advantage of this thing and say, "Oh, you can make anybody into anything. You cannot make a rope out of a rock." If the child has a tendency and the capability, we'll facilitate the child to take up IAS or crack the IAS exam. If he doesn't have a capability and a tendency to do cooking, we'll train him in cooking. What's wrong? We require good cooks. We require good tailors. How much people earn by tailoring these days? I was shocked. One devotee who takes care of my stitching of the dresses and all, he brought new dress for me and asked, where are you coming from? So I just came from the shop. And how much did he take for stitching the kurta? He told 1,000 rupees he took to stitch a kurta. 1,000 rupees? I told, it's more expensive than the cloth. So we want people to have take up these things also. And now the whole focus is everybody wants to become an engineer, and the whole engineering colleges, they're filled and they become jobless. And for them, if you say, I don't take a tailoring, they say, hey, I'm an engineer, why should I do that? So it is the British who created this Uch Neech, this higher job is lower job. But the Vedic system doesn't see that. It doesn't see that. That thing we want to bring. We want good cooks also. It's also a good source of income for you. Being a tailor is also good. No, what is the problem in being a tailor? What is the problem in being an archaka? What is the problem in being a purohit? It is not that the whole, you just have to get software. If you don't get software, your life is gone. So this kind of madness has been filled in the child's consciousness. Basically, we talk material on the spiritual, in a spiritual atmosphere. If I had to put in a very raw way, Gurukul is, we teach material things in a spiritual atmosphere, so that the spiritual atmosphere in which they grow, that will protect them throughout life. And the material thing which we teach is going to make them competent and make their life. To such an extent, they'll support 10 Gurukuls in future after earning so much of money.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So, Maharaj, I wanted to shine some light on the commercialization of education. So, it's kind of deeply concerning that all the basic fundamental things needed for life, whether it is food, health, education, everything has been commercialized. So, talking about education itself, even before the child has gotten into like formal education, like lower kindergarten, upper kindergarten, it's lakhs of rupees that parents have to create one education fund for the children, and they come out also with a big educational loan that they have to pay off. But in the earlier system, contrasting with the Gurukul education, the education was completely free. Only when they came out graduation, when they graduated, they would offer some Guru Dakshina to the Guru. So my two questions were, one is, how was Gurukul education system sustained in the past without charging any fee? And number two, what have we collectively as a society lost by making education into a profit driven enterprise?
Three things.
Mhm.
A government is supposed to give free. Siksha, Chikitsa, Nyaya. The moment there is a commercialization, money involved in these three things, there will be corruption. Even in Nyaya, the moment money is involved, those who pay more money, then the judgment will be in favor of them. Very natural. The person who have more money capacity, they pay the lawyer. They sometimes corrupt the judges also. I don't know. It happens. And Chikitsa, Nyaya. So these three were regulated by the government, the kings. Even in the West, these three things are regulated by the government.
Mhm.
In Europe, I went to Sweden. Education is free for everyone, even till PhD. That is a system, that was a system throughout the world. It is not new. That is not just now it's modern. It's actually even in Europe, very many places in Europe, education is free.
Mhm.
They want to teach everything is free. In America, I don't know what it is, but Europe, it is free. It takes even the medical, it is free.
Mhm.
The government takes the taxes and then funds this. And the kings used to do that. The kings used to fund the Gurukul teachers, and they, as Kulapatis, would teach free. It is actually not free, they are funded.
Mhm.
The government funds them. And the teachers were taken care of. They were highly paid and they were taken care. It is not that teachers were not paid. It is not that is how the modern the communists and the so-called the historians they projected Gurukul means poverty. Brahmana means when a teacher means poor.
Mhm.
Uh, no, it is not. Vyasatirtha, when he started the Gurukul, when he had his established Gurukul in Hampi, every year there was Kanakabhisheka.
Wow.
He was sitting, and then Krishnadeva would pour gold coins till the entire his whole head is completely filled, and that whole money was used for teaching students, and they would learn and they would uh, study and they would serve. So whether it is a rich person like Krishna and then Sudama, they would sleep in the same facility. It is not that he's a rich man, so he has got this facility. The poor man's boy is. So they are trained. The Samadrishti is trained. Once after they pass out, they have their life to live. Hmm. So that is the reason it is not free. If it is not given, if it is against a payment, then there is bias.
Mhm.
So in this way, the Gurukuls are funded. Of course, unfortunately, the government is not funding. Hmm. So a set of people get together and they should fund it. And those parents whoever wants to give whatever they want to give you. Otherwise, they pay. What happens? The parents starts interfering. Yeah, I paid you 10,000 rupees a month. My child is not learning mathematics. And your child is a dumb person. Just because you pay 10,000 rupees to pay 10,000 rupees, that doesn't change your child's karma. We had a homeschooling going on many years back. Of course, now it's converted as Elagu Gurukulam. And one parent started shouting, I'm paying money, other children are paying not so much. I'm paying extra also to all of you. My child has not learned mathematics. He failed in mathematics. I told you, take your money back. Just because you paid, that doesn't make your child who has no masala of mathematics inside. Your child is a very good hard worker. No? We have let him take up something like this. He doesn't like it.
Mm.
And by your payment, the child doesn't become a mathematician because he doesn't have the masala of mathematics. What we can do? That is why we have this NIOS syllabus, which gives an opportunity for the child, if he's not poor in mathematics, let him be happy with social studies. Let him be happy with Sanskrit or English or Hindi. If somebody is not good with English, no problem. What is it? Why? If you don't learn English, does that mean that you're not a human, you are an unfit person? No. Let the child develop confidence. Mhm. So we are more concerned about the child's material life and material development. So that is the reason once they pay, they control us. So as to a Brahmana, or a body of teachers, they cannot be controlled by anybody who have no idea of education. Can they control just by paying money? So that is the reason I'm thoroughly against education against payment.
Thank you, Maharaj. And you talked about Europe. In America also, there is a pretty good public education system. That's brilliant. Then going
I have a question for Prabhuji. We see these days children who go for this modern education system. They're overworked throughout the day. Start the school, go for tuitions, then coaching classes, then entrance exam preparations and whatnot. Like it's very, very busy lifestyle for a young child. So compared to this kind of lifestyle which we normally see in the current education system, how is the day routine of your children, probably who are going through a homeschooling kind of model? I mean, they also look like very busy or
So first thing before I get into my children, one thing I would like to share is that we should understand this system the present day school is having. This system is designed in order to prepare a student for corporate life. Corporate life has a basic structure where most of the people are at the bottom and very few are at the top. So when the resources are scarce, there will be competition. So the system is designed in such a way that it promotes intense competition. In order to prepare for this competition, they have to be trained right from the beginning. It cannot be a shock once you get into job. Hence, schools exactly offer this opportunity for them. So right from the beginning, the children are promoted into job culture. There is even a terminology, is your child job ready? So that is the way they speak. So the present generation can't even think of a life without a job. Traditionally, a businessman or an intellectual, a leader of the people, they have confidence that they can earn enough to maintain themselves. It is only the untrained who have to depend on others for survival. So, schools, colleges, they make the student job ready means they make sure that they are untrained enough to depend on others. Even the MBA graduates, when we say master in business administration, so you are supposed to be an entrepreneur, you have to enter business. But what is happening today? People are using the MBA degrees to get into jobs. So the MBA degree is not creating business persons. So if you are trained in a way to live under pressure, you will continue to be in that thing. So that's special about Vedic education, that it trains you according to your nature, according to your propensity. And in Vedic education, there is no question of unemployment. There is employment for all, because based, as Maharaj said, you may be a cook, you may be an intellectual person, whatever capacity, there will be some opportunity for you anyway. So this concept is technically called Swadharma. So one thing I can see, I don't know about my children's future, but at least now they are learning those things which are immediately relevant for them. And other times they are into play, they are into some gardening. So these are the things that is not creating stress for them. So that is one definitely immediate result I can see, that they are not under pressure of exam or getting into first rank or having being into cutthroat competition. If they are into their swadharma, what they are destined to be, what they are destined to do, their maintenance will be taken care of. That much confidence I am trying to give right from the beginning.
So just adding to this, it's open for both of you, Prabhuji and Maharaj. Now, given this language of talking that he can be a good cook, he can be a good tailor, a parent might think this Guru system actually kills aspirations. They only create tailors and cooks. If somebody wants to become an engineer, somebody wants to become an IAS, then he cannot enter into Guru system. So, if parent is not a mature devotee who understands Swadharma, who understands what ashram system, how a normal parent will understand this language of cooks and tailors?
So,
Okay, let me say something. I think you took only half of part of it. We told we want to make them competent to do IAS also. I have spoken about that also. But those who are competent, we'll give them an opportunity. We cannot make a rope of a rock. We cannot make a donkey into a horse. A donkey is good for doing the work of a donkey. A horse is good for doing the work of the horse. That's what is Swadharma. So the parents think that until unless my donkey becomes a horse, then he has no right to live. That was the culture in which I grew. The whole situation during 90s, early 90s was that if you don't become an engineer or a doctor, you commit suicide. That's the culture prevalent throughout our college, our school, neighborhood. The moment anybody comes to our house, the first question is, which college are you studying in, or which engineering, which branch are you in? If you get some civil engineer, civil, like that. That's how it has been seen. That I'm against that. So aspirations you should have. But if you are a bird, if you think of aspiring, I should be a fish, that is a problem. If you're a fish that I want to be a bird, that is a problem. If you're a fish, be a better good fish. If you're a bird, be a better bird. Like for example, sometimes even for people say, "Oh, Prabhuji, why don't you do this thing? Why don't you sing?" Yeah, I'm not a singer. When nobody is there, you give me the opportunity to sing, I just sing, but I'm not a singer. But you ask me to speak, that is my expertise, that is my nature. I do that. So if I try to become a singer just because I have an aspiration to become a singer, that's impossible. There may be one or two cases it's possible, but that's not the way. Only a singer can be trained to be a singer, or a speaker can be trained to a speaker, a cook can be trained, one who is an administrator can be trained as a better administrator. That is where we have to identify the nature. There's a cartoon which was there many years back, I saw. There's a bird, there's a fish, there's a tiger, there's a monkey, and all were given the same examination. That is, you should climb a tree. No, everybody has different nature, so there should be different examinations, and there should be different opportunities for people. So that is the main. Kabru, you continue.
yeah, one thing I would like to add to what Maharaj said is that don't you think these occupations exist in society today? Today we are having actors, we are having chefs. There is a whole institute of hotel management for this,
Yeah.
and there are so many professions. What we call engineering was civil engineering. It was masonry once upon a time. It has evolved into civil engineering. So the occupations are thriving even today. Just that there is a need for parents to open up, to come out of the box and see the world. That is when they realize that whatever is necessary for human society has always existed. And just that if we can train according to their natures, that is when we'll be able to make the best out of it.
Thank you. Wonderful. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, very nice, Maharaj and Prabhuji. So clearly, you have established that Gurukul does not kill ambitions. In fact, it kindles the right kind of ambitions and prepares them to actually achieve those ambitions. Very nice. So, Maharaj, I wanted to ask you, our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, he often speaks about Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India, make in India, purchase India, everything. So, can our country ever truly become Atmanirbhar Bharat without returning to our roots and reclaiming our Gurukul-based Vedic education system?
It is impossible. That is, the same prime minister has now changed the syllabus,
Yes.
and he has opened up. has opened up to such an extent. Earlier, we just could not think of education without sending our child to the school. But now you can do homeschooling, you can have Gurukul, you can have so much of flexibility in choosing what subject you'd like to learn. Just imagine there was no idea for people, opportunity for people who can do their 10th standard by studying Veda and studying Vyakarana and studying Sahitya. Or you can get 10th standard certificate just by studying these things. Earlier, there was very difficult for people to imagine that how can you get a 10th standard certificate, pass out certificate, without studying mathematics. It was there, but it was not propagated. Now it is there. A child can pass out of 10th standard without studying mathematics, without studying English. Yes, it is possible. It was there hidden, but now he made it public and then say, yes, you can be. You can be a very good teacher in music, and then you can do your 10th, 12th graduation, and everything in music, and then be happy about it. So he has done that thing. And also is introduced that there is a scope of livelihood in these fields also. So coming back to our the theme which I spoke, it was first time I spoke it out. The Gurukul is we create a spiritual atmosphere and teach material things in that. But outside, there is neither spiritual atmosphere nor material. So this is what is the Gurukul meant for. When in Vashishta's Gurukul, he taught people from around the world, 16,000 students were there, right from horse riding till Vedanta was taught. But it was all in a spiritual atmosphere, in the sense that they had to get up early in the morning, they had to do sadhana, they had to control their senses, they had to be subservient, they had to be obedient. So in this atmosphere, what is taught as material studies? Sanskrit, Vyakarana, it's not spiritual, it is material. At the same time, in our syllabus design, we want the child to learn what is AI right from the beginning. In which school teaches AI? Tell me, no school teaches. We want the children to learn AI. So yesterday I was contemplating, one devotee called me, please help Prabhuji in our temple architectural thing. Then I told, let us appoint an architect. I taught already. He said, we don't have money for the architect. So I was just wondering, so much of architecture I have, but I don't know what is, how to operate and learn this CAD. CAD program. I don't know. A little bit I know, but I cannot. So we want children to learn that right from childhood. Why only the mobile games? If they are expert in CAD and 3D Max and all, we can engage we can take contracts, architectural contracts, buildings, big buildings. The child is learning AI and then CAD operated programs, 3D Max and all. The Gurukul, the student starts earning right from their 7th standard itself. One time, when somebody is paying, one company is paying, which is related to our devotee, he's paying 300 rupees, 500 rupees per poster to someone. Now, there are many students whose children who will teach them 3D Max. Let them learn right from a 7th standard. What is the problem? This is called education.
So, Maharaj, following up on that, there is a major brain drain that most of the students, the moment they graduate, their aspiration is to leave the country and go abroad to pursue their higher education. So they think excellence is education means I have to go abroad and study. But actually, historically, if we speak, it was the other way around. People from across the world came to our universities, Takshashila, Nalanda University, to the extent that Nalanda had a legendary 9-story library. It was so exhaustive and it was burnt down, unfortunately. So how can we reclaim this lost glory and again reclaim this leadership and make our country the global educational hub once again?
We can do that by Gurukul system of education,
Mm.
this concept. And we can do it, is possible. And it is happening also now. It is happening. The Vedic system of education, it is not that only it was in India, it was throughout the world. System education, Vedic system education, Vedic culture was around the world. And the Vedic system education is still there in many parts of the world, and especially in Europe, it is there. Of course, the spiritual atmosphere is not there, but in some places it is there. In UK, all the, like you have Cambridge University, they are actually Christian colleges. They are hostels, and university is a different thing. I came to know about it. They are only providing hostels, and it's very strict there. Of course, now it has become very less. It was all, they're practicing Christians spirituality, and they would send them to these universities to get degrees and come back. But they used to practice their Christianity there. That means the education system was never, around the world, was never independent of a religion, because the religion gives them sense control, and sense control gives them the aptitude, the qualification to study, memorize, achieve excellence. In spite of all the IITs and so many things, why research is not there in India? Research is best in many parts of Europe and America, because they're heavily funded by government, number one. Number two, I went to one university, researchers, they don't intermingle. The men are men separate, and the women are women, they separate. Einstein and big scientists, they all practice brahmacharya. There are many quotes by them, because they knew if promiscuity makes a person lose the aptitude of research in any field of knowledge. All the big universities in UK, the celibate brothers, and they were into research. So now, in spite of all the big brains, the brain drain is not that the big brains are going to America. That the brain drain is that the big brains, they are into illicit sex and gambling, intoxication. The headquarters of drugs. Where is headquarters of drugs? Where do they sell the drugs? It is in universities. Where is headquarters of prostitution? It's not in a red light area. It is in the university. Where is the headquarters of mafia? It is a university. It's a fact. And nobody talks about it. It's the most unfortunate situation. And still we send our children this. I know. I studied in a college. I studied in the college. How many were drug addicts? How many became drug addicts? I have counted them. Good children or nice families, within 6 months they became chain smokers. They were not even knowing the spelling of smoking. They were not knowing what drugs were. They became drug addicts. Where did it happen? And what the parents are saying, thinking, my child is in engineering, my child is doing this, or my child is in this college. One professor told me in Delhi University, more than 50% of the girls, they are doing prostitution, but they cannot be called as prostitutes because they are students. More than 50%. Yeah. And how can you call it a college? How can you call it a university? And we are against this thing. We're not against the university. We're not against studies. We're not against research. We're against the culture which has been created in these universities and call them as universities where you get educated. I think I conveyed my point.
Yes, yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
So, Prabhuji, so what is fundamentally wrong with this current education system that is creating stress, anxiety, suicidal tendencies, drug addiction? Where are we going wrong fundamentally?
So, if you pull a rubber band, it would want to come to its natural position. So the effort that I have put, it wants to negate that effort. So it's trying to push it to bring it to natural position. Similarly, if the education is natural, then it will not be pressure prone. What's happening today is education is not natural. It's not according to one's own nature. It's according to where money is. However, as discussed earlier, it is natural that there will be less people at the top, and this creates unnecessary stressful situation that everyone should work to go to the top. So the whole system is created on a platform of greed. So when one's greed is not satisfied, which will be for most of the people, their desires will not be satisfied because how much can you give? So that creates naturally a stressful system. So Vedic system was designed based on spiritual values that encouraged being satisfied with whatever is available naturally. Nature gives for our need and not for our greed. So if we learn these spiritual values, then automatically we will be not in a situation where we are in a rubber band stress mode. Secondly, as discussed earlier, if one works and one studies based on his own nature, what he is meant for, what he is capable at, he doesn't have to put that extra endeavor of what he is not good. I know my friends, they were extremely poor at mathematics. And engineering means it's mostly mathematics. So it was a very tough time to clear the subjects of mathematics. So the question is, do you really have to go through this? I'll give a simple example, integral calculus. How many of us have used integral calculus in our day-to-day lives? How many people know who is using? Do people even know that our milkman uses integral calculus in his day-to-day life? How? You tell him 1.5 liters. He puts one, he puts two, he puts three. Finally, he gives little more. Why he gives that little more? Because it is understood that there is a limit and I am giving little less. So to avoid that, I'll give that. So he uses integral calculus in his day-to-day life. So how many of us know that? So there are a lot of things which we learn which are of no relevance to our day-to-day lives. But the children have to mug that up to pass the exams. And similarly, you have to work in fields which you are not meant for, which you don't have the propensity to. So that naturally creates a situation where we are stressed. And so there are this stress, and on top of that, your performance pressure is there. Considering all these things, see, for children, the life is parents. Children don't know anything other than parents. Once they go to school, the next person is the teacher. Now, if the parents and teacher are themselves anxious, you have to score, you have to come to the top, you have to be the best, you have to be career oriented. For children, satisfaction of the parents and the teacher is the ultimate goal. And for that, they stretch themselves. But if you want to make a donkey run like a horse, it can't happen. Or if you want the horse to lift the load like a donkey, that will also not happen. So that way they get frustrated. They think that I'm not able to satisfy my parents. Actually, it's an emotional trauma for them. My parents want something from me. I'm not able to satisfy them. So that creates a really disturbing situation. So it's the elders' responsibility to guide them properly. Traditionally, the parents, the gurus, the heads of the state or the heads of the village, they were really guiding them on the right path based on their nature. So those who are in a responsible position, they are actually primarily responsible for creating this stressful situation, is what I understand from this.
I appreciate Prabhuji. Very sorry state of current education system and feel helpless, not able to do anything for these children. Mataji, go ahead, please.
Time and again throughout this podcast, you have highlighted about the need for sense control. But however, what we see in today's education system is exact opposite. It's sense indulgence, not sense control. So there is addictions to adult content. I was just recently counseling a boy. He's just in seventh grade. So he must be what, like 12, 13 years old. And once he is exposed to that kind of content, he can never go back to seeing a woman in a different way. And drug addiction. There was this boy from a very reputed school. His father is the CEO of Magic Bricks, but this boy addicted to drugs. And how he got introduced to drugs, I was counseling him. He said, edible muffin. His friends would bring muffin, and there are drugs in muffin. And through that, he got addicted. And so I can go on and on about this. You already touched upon promiscuity, use of vulgar words, and he's using the F word and the B word and all these vulgar words. How he picked up? Because the older boys are there in the same school bus. So I can go on and on like this about the degradation of our children in terms of character. So, are we, through the current education system, ending up creating Chota Ravanas, Chota Hiranyakashipus, Chota Kamsas? They are very capable and competent. They are intelligent, they are strong, they are ambitious, they talk very well. But, however, there is this sense drive, the sense indulgence. So, where is the current education system going wrong, other than the promiscuity between boys and girls? So, what can we do to set this right?
Hey, even if they're producing Ravanas, I'll be very happy. They're not even producing Ravanas.
Okay.
You pick up any boy from the most reputed English medium school and then ask him to stand up and speak 10 sentences without any grammatical mistake. Impossible to find such a boy.
Mm-hmm.
In every sentence, they'll be using at least 2-3 you knows. You know, you know, you know. And they cannot speak standing steadily. They cannot speak.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have appropriate words to speak. Polished language they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no proper content. They're not trained for that. Because they are told language is not important. Some technical word should be there, that's all. Language is not important. But actually, what has to be taught is language. 3 languages: Sanskrit, your mother language, and English. And a language of your elective, of your choice. If you can learn French, or if you're a Kannadiga, you can learn Telugu or Hindi. Best 4 languages. That's very important. Language arts. Why did you take arts? Arts is for fools, you know. Because that is what you're going to use throughout your life, language. And as the most important part of any culture is language. The kind of language which we were taught in school and we were using, English I'm talking about, that was very high class. Now, even if you go to the best of the schools, it is not high class. The language is very shallow. English itself is very shallow. Even in that, they speak a very shallow language. So, Ravana, when he spoke, it was so attractive. When he chanted the Veda, the demigods were so surprised. They used to call him to chant Veda. When Ravana used to conduct a meeting, it was so perfect that he used to ask Vibhishana, speaking. He used to have enough patience to hear Vibhishana completely. And when he sat down, Ravana would speak. Nobody in Ravana's kingdom were unhappy. He was a very good administrator. He was thinking Rama is an ordinary person. That is why he is a demon. Don't think he had sense control. He had all the things. Of course, he had other phase also. He got women from practically all parts of the universe. And then he made them wives and kept them and maintained them. It is not that, okay, you become my wife, after some time divorcing, you get lost. He did not leave them on the road. You may think, bro, you are glorifying Ravana.
Yeah, I was going where? Like, what is going on?
That's the reason I told. Even if they are able to produce Ravanas, I'll be happy. There'll be a Ram to kill them. Not even Ravanas. Okay.
The cream today is in machines. If you see in the past, the famous people were Shakespeare or Cowper. Even in India, it was Kalidasa. The cream was in what you say of present arts, whereas the cream today is in engineering, in producing machines.
Even they're not able to produce that.
Yeah.
They're just getting degrees. That's all.
Yeah.
He cannot produce that. There's one boy who is an engineer. Then I just asked him what engineering, he told mechanical engineering. Then he had a desire. He was asking me, as a devotee son, how to become a marine engineer, can you tell? So then I spoke about, okay, if you want to become a marine engineer, I'll tell so many ways are there. Earlier, there's only one way. And I told, you know what you're going to do after becoming an engineer? Uh, then he told, I'll be engineer. Then I explained what you're supposed to do as a marine engineer because I've been like that. Then he told, no, I don't want to be. He wanted to become a marine engineer. He doesn't know because he was just told by his parents that if you become a marine engineer, you'll get a lot of money. That's all. When he came to know about what you're supposed to do, then he told, I have to be in the ship for 6 months. Oh, I cannot be. I'm afraid. I told, okay, that is not a big thing. You have to deal with oil, you have to deal with this. I explained about crankshaft or the piston and all this. Even I explained, told mommy, I cannot do. So people have different ideas. He was already a graduate, mechanical engineer. He doesn't know what a crankshaft is, what a piston is. What is the difference between a two-stroke engine, four-stroke engine? He has no idea. He has got the degree. So that's the situation.
So, Prabhuji, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnya Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhasha, career based on one's nature, as both of you mentioned, but the current education system encourages careers based on money rather than natural inclination. So, what is the downside of going against the nature? My question number one. And second is, how does Gurukula helps one align his career based on his nature?
Yeah. If you send a coward man to on the border for a war, how will he defend the country? If you see in America during the 1960s, that exactly happened. There was Vietnam War. There was shortage of soldiers, and USA announced compulsory military recruitment for all youngsters. Now these youngsters, most of them, they are not brave. They can't fight for the country. So what they did, they just left their household roaming around and became hippies. So the key message of the Bhagavad Gita is Swadharme nidhana shreyo paradharma bhayavaha. One must work according to one's own nature. Performing others' work is dangerous. So Krishna doesn't say that you will not fit or you will be bored or you will be stressed. Krishna says it is dangerous bhayavaha. So why this thing is said? Because if you are in the wrong place, then you may do mistakes which might be very fatal, which might be very troublesome, which might be problematic. So this is another major flaw. Lord Krishna points well in advance the two major mistakes of the present system. Actually, the system was not even there at the time when Krishna instructed Arjuna. The system wasn't even there, the present society. But still, Krishna well in advance says one thing is lack of spiritual training. Second thing is not getting trained according to one's nature. Consequences, an unqualified doctor and an unqualified teacher. See what's happening today. The cream of people go for jobs. Those who don't get job, what they do? They come to college and become professors, or they go to schools and become teachers. And these teachers and professors are responsible for training the next generation students who will be creams. So, that is exactly what's happening in present day society. So, one thing we should understand, Ishopanishad says, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Shishyate. Because the material nature is coming from Supreme Lord Krishna. So material nature is also complete. So nature supplies plenty for all. There is no scarcity for an ant, there is no scarcity for an elephant. Everyone is supplied plenty. Animals never have an economic problem. They never take a CV and go for a job, how to survive, what will I do, how will I pay my bills. They are not worried about it. So, because they are living according to their nature, they are not going against their nature. Traditionally, humans also did that. A farmer was doing farming, a carpenter was doing carpentry. An intellectual, what we call brahmanas, we say priest or yajnika, they were counselors actually. They were not just doing swaha yajna. They would provide valuable counseling to people in their stress, in their anxiety, in their planning for children in their future. So all these things were always there. So the thing is that if we align according to our natures, then we are naturally taken care of. So that is what is necessary in the education system. The Gurukula education identifies this one's nature right from the beginning of life and trains them accordingly. So as I told you, even if you don't learn integral calculus, which very few people understand what it is. I'll tell you, even in engineering, you go to IITs also, the technicality of what integral calculus is or differential calculus is, I don't know if any one or two students in 10 years will understand. So even if you don't understand what it is, it will still be, I mean, you will be taught only things which are relevant for you and no need to mug up things which are of no relevance for you. And that way, this is not a common education for all. Everyone should have to undergo same minimal learning program, the same common education. That is not there. That is why it is a more scientific system. For example, as Maharaj said, I am teaching myself these things like Sahitya, Kavya, Samskrita, Vyakarna, and they are giving exams in that only. They are not giving exams in technical side. They are just learning these things, and even the Veda Pathshala has its graduation, has its 10th and has its 12th and graduation. The whole system is designed, and they are just learning that, and they are able to their intellect, I can see that they are able to grasp the subjects quite nicely and they're able to do well. So definitely having people in the wrong place is not just a wrong policy, is not that just that they will be under stress, is not just that their life will get spoiled. It can be dangerous and fatal also. So that is what I could share in this regard.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Mata.
So, Maharaj, with your decades of experience in observing both the current education system and you've also been, you're very up to date on all the various Gurukul education systems that have been established. So, what, according to you, are some biggest challenges, Maharaj, in reviving this Gurukul education and establishing a Gurukul education from ground up?
Two challenges.
Uh-huh.
Number one, to find qualified teachers. Number one.
Mhm.
Number two, the funding required to for running the Gurukul, in setting up the Gurukul, and funding the teachers and feeding the students. So these are two challenges. If these two challenges are met, I am sure, given the current scenario these days, every parent will shift their child to our school.
Mm.
First one, qualified teachers. Teacher. I would not use the word teachers. One person who is a Brahmana, who is very clear about what he wants to do and set an exemplary life of sense control. Brahmana family.
Mm.
Because as we are told, we require a family to run. Sannyasis and brahmacharis, they should not run gurukuls, and they cannot. And it's not their dharma to do that.
Mm.
They can only support. Brahmacharis means single men.
Mm.
Not saying Gurukul students are brahmacharis only. And then once you find that one person, then naturally a culture is developed. And for that, you require the funding, the initial funding, and then the regular funding. Which once it is done, there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of students who will come.
Jai.
So, building upon this, I have a question, Prabhuji. So, many parents will be watching this podcast, Prabhuji, and based on the discussion, many may feel inspired to send their children for this kind of education, but still they may still hesitate with some fears in their mind. So, what are the common fears normally parents have while they think of Gurukul education? And what is that one practical step they can take today to move in that direction?
One fear the parents will have is, will my child get a job? Another is, who will get married to them without a job? So these fears parents had since the late 90s, when there was a change in trend from government job to private jobs. So if you see the 90s, the youngsters who were getting married, our parents' generation in the 80s or 90s, they were primarily saying, does he have a government job? Private means I will not give my daughter. So now the system has changed. Now they demand private jobs with a high salary. Prior to that, if you go a little back, 1950s, 1960s, they will not see whether he has a job. They will see whether they have a property, they have land, and they are well to do. So that was the criteria for them. So clearly within our own range, we have seen perspectives changing. Okay. So now my question is, why can't parents open up and accept that there can be a further change in perspective also? Let me introduce that. I have traveled around 15 Gurukulas in different parts of India. I have seen in Varanasi, in Gujarat, in Karnataka, in Udupi, Mangalore, Bangalore, in Sonda, North Karnataka. The fact that the Gurukulas are still running, they have 1,000 students each, means that they are doing something right. If the Gurukulas were really the way we thought, we anticipated that children will be in poverty, there will be no job opportunities, there will be no livelihood, who will get married to them. If these problems were there, the Gurukulas would have shut down long ago. So that is not happening means that they are doing something which is right. The students graduated from Gurukulas, they teach Samskrita, they teach Shastras, they become astrologers, they become priests. So these are some opportunities where they are doing quite well. The Purna Prajna Vidyapita actually has planned things very nicely. They have big Yajneshala within their own vicinity. And people anyway required to do yajnas, karmakanda, and other samskaras, they approach them. And these Gurukula graduates are engaged in performing these yajnas. That way, their livelihood is taken care of. Temple itself is providing facility for people, and they are at a quite reasonable price. So, definitely practical solutions are there. It's not that they are not there. However, there has been a lot of wrong propaganda against the Vedic system, including the Gurukula system, all because of corporate agenda again. If we train people to be independent, who would run these corporates? That is why I invite the viewers to not just believe in the words of not just believe in corporate words, not believe in the words of school authorities, don't even believe in my words. You yourself can go and check in these Gurukulas, how they are flourishing. How is it that more and more children are getting enrolled in this? So definitely it will bring more confidence in them. One more thing I would like to add, that if parents start sending their children to these systems, naturally they will also be stakeholders. They will be interested in the future of their children. So that way, the proper promotion of the economics around the Gurukulas will be better. We are not expecting any fees from parents, but then parents will promote that, oh, we can have yajna samskaras, we can have these things, we can have our own children who will get married to them. So definitely the whole ecosystem will work naturally. So when there was a change from land culture to government job culture, when there was a change from government job culture to corporate culture, why are we shy to change from a corporate culture to this culture? That too, when we understand that the present system is all the more vulnerable than the past. The present system runs on oil or stock market. Practically, we are dependent on oil for everything, for the clothes that we wear, for the laptops that we use, for the food that we eat. Everything is primarily dependent on oil. And what to speak of that, the currency, the stock markets, there is everything. The real wealth is not there. At least in the past, people had land, people had cows, people had gold. There was something substantial. So definitely, the present vulnerable society, there will definitely be a better alternative for that. So parents should open up for this. Then they will be able to come out of it. And are the occupations associated with Gurukulas dying today? Of course not. Even today we have priesthood and it's flourishing all the more. More and more people are surviving on priestly occupations with Indian knowledge systems, etc. Samskrita, traditional languages, they are all flourishing. I was just checking in IIT, they have introduced a course on Ashtadhyayi of Panini because it was used for competition. What we call object oriented programming in engineering field, that was mastered by Panini long ago. All these various things like inheritance and abstraction, they were all mastered by Panini much long ago. And today IITians have the jignasa, they have the inquisitiveness to inquire into this. Of course, one thing is, let's leave all this apart. Suppose my own child is destined to be in corporate. He is having his own nature as into corporate. What will I do? That can be a question somebody may think. Having worked in corporate, one thing I can surely say that a 6 months training is enough for me to train my child. This every corporate will agree. This not I'm not telling anything new. What jobs people are doing in software requires a 6 months training. It doesn't require a proper 18 to 20 years of graduation, post graduation to lead this life. So, to make somebody corporate ready is easy, but to have character, that is difficult. So, that our systems will give.
Gurukula system, what exactly you're talking about? Is it a 100% pure Vedic education system? We're talking about spiritual plus some material education like CBSE board or some different boards. So what exactly we mean when we say Gurukula education?
So to give you a nutshell, in the spiritual atmosphere, we give them the best material education so that they are competent to live in this world in both ways, in both dimensions, to have a livelihood according to their nature. Number two, to be competent enough to face the challenges of this world because they have the spiritual strength. So this is the summary of the entire, whether it is ICSE, CBSE, NIOS, that is not the subject. We make them competent to crack any exam if they have the masala for it.
Do we need to rely upon these boards to make them competent? Why can't we keep it purely Vedic education?
Vedic education means to make a person competent for doing anything in this world, depending on his nature and talent. So Vedic education is not a syllabus. It's not just a syllabus. It is to develop the competence in a person. That's Vedic education. Education and syllabus are two different things. Unfortunately, they are confused between, they think education means syllabus. Syllabus is only a fragment of education, number one. So one of the fears which the parents have in and Gurukul is what degree our child is going to get? Is he going to get a 10th standard certificate, 12th standard certificate? Yes, we are going to train them to crack any board if they have the masala for it. But we are primarily, initially, when we start the Gurukul, we are focusing on taking NIOS as the standard syllabus for us. NIOS is not some very low class syllabus. It is far more than CBSE or ICSE or any. If the child really studies that syllabus, I've studied the subjects in the textbook, the 10th standard. It is not just meant for some deaf and dumb people, some part time. It is not for that. So if the student is really intelligent and has the aptitude for the mathematics, if he passes NOS, he'll be better math. The mathematics syllabus is far superior to the CBSE also. I've seen that. So we take NOS because we get flexibility. Not all children are competent in all subjects. So NOS gives a great flexibility. And I've seen many international boards give great flexibility. And over a period of time, in the past few years, even the state syllabus, even the CBSE India syllabus, they are also giving a lot of flexibility. They are giving it. So let us not mix the board with the this thing. But they will be getting 10th and 12th certificate. And after 12th, there are so many options, unlimited options are there. And of course, by the time the child spends around 8 to 10 years in our Gurukul, this child joins at the age of 7, and then he stays till 12th standard, is 17 or 18. Those 10 years, just imagine. He has got up early in the morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and there's no distraction for him with a mobile phone and other things. And he doesn't have any girlfriend, boyfriend thing, that thing is not there. And he has eaten pure food, and he has done yoga and coloring every day in the morning. Just imagine the kind of caliber he comes out with. He's disciplined. So this is what is want. Just imagine we have at least to start off with every year 40 to 50 students are being produced. And by the time they are 17, they can speak minimum 3 languages, including Sanskrit and English, if not 3, 4. And they know how to cook. They know how to cook. It is not that they are cooks. They know how to cook also. They know how to wash their own clothes and iron them. I'm talking about something very basic. Even girls who are married at the age of 30, they don't know how to cook. But just imagine a 17-year-old boy who knows cook, and in wherever he can survive, if he gets some rice, dal, and some sabji, he doesn't have to go to a hotel and spoil his health. He knows the basic ethic, Ayurveda, so that he can maintain his good health. He doesn't have to go to a doctor in his life. He knows how to communicate properly. He knows to play one mridang and kartal. He can chant stotras non-stop for 2 hours at least. If any stotras, we are going to train 2 hours stotras. And he knows the minimum yagya, 15-20 minutes of yagya. Of course, we're going to teach some those who comprehend all the karma kanda or kamya karma also. Basically, he knows. He knows the geography. And this boy knows how to conduct yatras and make money out of yatras. Just imagine. So that is what you're expecting. These are all out of syllabus. So that is why I'm saying syllabus or a board, that is just an insignificant or the smallest part of education. And we are considered that itself as education. That's the problem.
So, Maharaj, that's a great vision. In closing, I would like to take
Yeah.
from vision to action. So, until now, what we have discussed is theory. So, if you are comfortable with it, if you could kindly share with us, with our viewers, what concrete, tangible measures are you taking from your side for reviving this Gurukula education system? And if there is something concrete, how can our viewers join hands with your mission?
My Guru Maharaj once told me that if you want to do something, find a person to do it.
That's smart.
So that has been my expertise, and my karma also says you cannot do anything. Actually, I cannot do anything. In fact, whenever I do something, I do some garbage. It's better not to do. So find a person who can do that. That expertise Krishna has given me. Guru Maharaj's blessing is also there. So I found Ramaprayam Prabhu for after so many years of search. So he will do the entire thing. We just have to be servants and serve him. That's all. Do our job. Give the necessary funding. That's all. Now Gurukul will be taken care of by him. We don't have to get into what all these thing integrities and all these things. We can suggest him. We can fund him. That's all.
Mhm.
Over. Then our job done.
So, how can our viewers contribute other than funding? Funding is the main thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And anyway, they can contribute in different ways. Even talking about it, sending children, hundreds and ways they can contribute, and they can join a forum which you can create. You all can create a forum where they join and then contribute ideas and Lakshmi and other different things which can be taken ahead. So Rama Prem Prabhu is our boss. So that is our principal. Is Kulapati. That's what is the main that is the biggest find. As I told, teacher is the main thing. Once Kulapati is there, when the bija is there, it goes into a tree, and the tree produces many fruits, and that fruits, each fruit can become a seed, and this way it happens. Yeah. Very, um, very rare to find a person born in Brahmana family and is an engineer, and he's initiated into ISKCON, and also he's a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, who is Gurukul promoter, die-hard promoter, and that also is there in his genetics. And also he has done research, his experience raising children. So that's the main find. And now, once you have man, Krishna has a plan, and Krishna is giving some plans. We just have to fund. That's all. Nothing.
Very nice, Maharaj. Thank you. So, Madan Govind Prabhu and Rama Aprameya Prabhu, do you want to say anything before we close?
I think most of the points I have covered in the talk. Nothing more to add.
Sure, sure. Madan Govind Prabhu, anything you want to add?
We are very fortunate to have the kind guidance of Maharaj in this regard, who himself is very much knowledgeable and experienced and very capable person in terms of leadership. So, and along with leadership comes the managerial skills is one thing, but the depth in Shastra, the deep Shastric knowledge. So, such a great blessing we have. So that is also our fortune in this regard.
Yes, very much.
Mhm.
Madan
Just
Govind Prabhu,
looking
you
forward to have something tangible in the near, future, so that parents have some option to send their children. Looking forward to it.
very nice.
Sure.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Maharaj and Rama Prameya Prabhu, Madan Govind Prabhu, for the clarity, the depth, very insightful discussion, and Madan Govind Prabhu, the meaningful questions you were asking, very, very nice. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful for all three of you for taking the time out today. And just I'll close it in 1 to 2 sentences addressing the audience. So Hare Krishna, everyone. There we go. This was our discussion on Gurukul education versus modern education. So what is your take on it? What concerns do you have? Are there certain angles that we have not touched upon? So please leave your comments in the section. And if you liked any bit of this discussion, please do us a favor by sharing it with others, whoever you know. So thank you very much. We will see you in the next episode next month. Until then, take care. And thank you very much, Maharaj and Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.